Today is January 15th, 2026. We're cloned back to Noel Miko channel. AI Wall has been absolutely packed with big moves in chips, education, healthcare, music, cars, and even policing. In this video, we're breaking down 10 of the most important AI stories you need to know and how they all connect into the bigger picture of where AI is headed next. Let's get into it. Story number 1, the US quietly reopens a door for NVIDIA in China. This news comes from unwired.hk and was released on January 14th, 2026. According to a new notice from the US Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security published in the Federal Register on January 13th, NVIDIA is now officially allowed to export its H200 chips to China again, but with multiple restrictive conditions attached. This effectively reverses some of the earlier very strict export bans on high-end AI hardware going into China, but it's not a free-for-all. The US government is trying to walk a tightrope. Let US companies like NVIDIA make money in China, but still cap China's ability to train the very largest, most advanced AI models. So we're seeing a pattern. Instead of a hard decoupling, it's now more like AI export with guardrails. For global AI development, that means Chinese companies may get access to stronger hardware than expected, but likely at controlled performance levels and under heavy monitoring. This is going to matter for every other story we talk about today, because compute, who has advanced chips and who doesn't, is one of the main levers shaping AI power worldwide. Story number 2. Google wants the AI community to grade AI together. This news comes from the Google AI and was released on January 14th, 2026. Google is introducing something called Community Benchmarks on Kaggle. In plain language, this lets researchers, developers, and even hobbyists create, share, and run their own custom evaluations for AI models. Instead of waiting for big labs to publish a benchmark once a year, now anyone can define, here's my dataset, here's the task, here's how we score models, and the community can run different models against that benchmark. Why is this a big deal? Because right now everyone complains that benchmarks are outdated, too narrow, or easy to game. With community benchmarks, evaluation becomes more democratic and more tailored. Finance people can benchmark for finance tasks, doctors for medical tasks, teachers for student use cases, and so on. So while the NVIDIA China story is about who can build big models, this Kaggle story is about who gets to decide what good AI even means. And that theme of control, who sets the rules, keeps coming back in today's news. Story number 3. How AI companies are getting pulled into military projects. This news comes from Wired's artificial intelligence section and was released on January 14th, 2026. Wired is running an excerpt from the book Silicon Empires by Nick Sonisek, looking at how companies like Meta and OpenAI went from saying no military use of our tools just a couple of years ago to now openly working with the US government and defense establishment. The piece describes a pretty dramatic shift. In 2022 and 2023, you had public statements and even internal revolts at some tech companies against military contracts. Fast forward to today, and the geopolitical pressure, especially around AI competition with China and Russia, has pushed many firms to quietly or openly partner with the Pentagon and intelligence agencies. This connects directly back to the NVIDIA export story. Once AI is framed as a strategic, almost military asset, everything from chip exports to model access gets pulled into national security logic. And that explains why we're seeing more export controls, more trusted partners, and as Wired suggests, more tech companies rationalizing military use of their models. So the AI industry is not just about chatbots and productivity anymore. It's now a key part of how countries think about power. Story number 4, Tesla radically changes how it sells its self-driving software. This news comes from The Verge's AI coverage and was released on January 14th, 2026. The Verge reports that Tesla is going to stop selling its full self-driving system, FSD, as a one-time standalone purchase. Starting February 14th, Tesla will only offer FSD as a monthly subscription. If you remember, Tesla once sold FSD for up to $15,000 as a one-time option, and Elon Musk kept calling it an appreciating asset that would become more valuable over time as it got closer to true autonomy. That price later dropped to around $8,000 or $99 per month as a subscription. Now, with Tesla's sales struggling and its robotaxi vision looking shaky, switching to subscription only is a major strategic pivot. It turns FSD into more of a software as a service product and less of a permanent feature attached to the car. This tells us something important. Even in high-profile AI products like autonomous driving, the business model is still very much in flux. Companies are experimenting with how to monetize AI, one-time licenses, subscriptions, usage-based pricing, or bundling into platforms. Keep this in mind when we talk about Slack's new agent later, because we're seeing the same AI as a subscription pattern across multiple industries. Story number 5. Bandcamp draws a hard line against AI-generated music. This news comes from Engadget Tech News and was released on January 14th, 2026. Engadget reports that Bandcamp is banning music or audio that is wholly or in substantial part generated by AI. The platform says it wants to protect the human connection in music and explicitly calls out generative AI steinklohap die satte Bisherbein and Aimarl Gaming Services. Bandcamp's updated policy also says using AI tools to impersonate other artists or copy their styles is strictly prohibited. They are giving users tools to report suspected AI-generated tracks, and Bandcamp staff can remove content they believe violates the rules. To put this in context, Deezer recently said around 50,000 AI-generated songs are uploaded every day, about 1/3 of its catalog. Spotify is only slowly moving toward AI disclosure standards and impersonation rules. Bandcamp, which already has a reputation for being very artist-friendly, including their Bandcamp Fridays that send 100% of revenue to artists on certain days, is now one of the first major platforms to take a very clear, restrictive stance on AI music. And so here we have another form of control, not about chips or benchmarks, but about cultural values. Bandcamp is basically saying, on this platform, AI is not welcome as a primary creator. That's a big philosophical and economic statement, and it sets up a future where some platforms embrace AI content and others brand themselves as human only. Story number 6. In Hong Kong schools, AI is already everywhere. This news also comes from unwire.hk and was released on January 14th, 2026. Unwire.hk reports on a new survey by the Our Hong Kong Foundation. which found that AI tool usage among teachers and students in Hong Kong's primary and secondary schools is extremely high. According to the survey, about 91% of teachers have used AI tools, and the percentage for students is even higher, over 90% as well. The takeaway from the report is blunt. Without AI, it's now impossible to study or work effectively in many contexts. Because of this, the group is calling for a formal AI application framework in schools to protect student safety and guide responsible use. That could include rules around data privacy, what tasks are appropriate for AI, and how to avoid over-reliance or cheating. This story shows the other side of AI adoption. While Western debates often focus on should schools allow AI, in places like Hong Kong, it's already a done deal. AI is deeply integrated into everyday learning. The conversation has moved on to how do we manage this responsibly? And that ties right back to the Kaggle benchmark story. As AI becomes embedded in education, we need better tools and frameworks to evaluate what these systems do and how safe or reliable they are, especially for young users. Story number 7. UK police blame a Microsoft Copilot for a serious intelligence error. This news comes from The Verge's AI coverage and was released on January 14th, 2026. The Verge reports that the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police, one of the largest police forces in the UK, admitted that Microsoft's Copilot AI assistant was used to generate part of a football intelligence report. And Copilot hallucinated a match that never existed. The report included a fake match between West Ham and Maccabi Tel Aviv that fabricated information contributed to Israeli football fans being banned from a real match last year. Later, the Chief Constable Craig Guildford said he discovered that this erroneous result came from using Microsoft Copilot, and the force failed to properly fact-check the AI-generated content before relying on it. This is a textbook example of AI hallucination causing real-world harm, and it raises huge questions. Should AI tools be used in policing intelligence at all? What are the verification requirements? Who is responsible? The organization using the tool or the vendor providing it? Notice the contrast here. In Hong Kong schools, AI is ubiquitous, but now needs guardrails. In UK policing, AI has already slipped into high-stakes decision-making, and we are only now seeing the consequences in public. This is exactly why evaluation, transparency, and human oversight are becoming central themes in AI regulation discussions. Story number 8. Slack turns Slackbot into a full-blown AI agent for work. This news comes via Hacker News pointing to Slack's official blog and was posted on Hacker News on January 14, 2026. Slack has announced an all-new Slackbot, essentially a context-aware AI agent designed to help you at work. Instead of being just a simple reminder bot or Q&A helper, the new Slackbot can understand context across your channels, messages, and tools, and then take actions on your behalf. Think of things like summarizing long threads, pulling relevant documents into a conversation, answering questions based on your company's internal knowledge, or even orchestrating workflows across different apps. All inside Slack. This fits into a broader trend we're seeing. AI agents becoming embedded in the tools you already use. From Microsoft Copilot in Office and Windows to Google's AI in Workspace to Slack's new bot in your daily chat environment. But it also raises the exact same issues we just saw with UK police and Copilot. As AI agents start taking actions and making recommendations, how do we verify what they do? How do you prevent hallucinations from turning into bad business decisions or worse, security incidents. So as exciting as personal AI agents for work sound, they're also going to force companies to rethink internal policies, logging, audit trails, and human-in-the-loop oversight. Story number 9. Google pushes forward with open medical AI models. This news comes from MarkTech Post AI News and was released on January 14th, 2026. MarkTech Post reports that Google Research has expanded its Health AI Developer Foundations program, HAI-DEF, with the release of MedGemma-1.5. MedGemma 1.5 is a small multimodal AI model designed for real clinical data. It can work with medical images, text, and speech, and it's being released as an open starting point for developers who want to build medical AI systems and then adapt them to local workflows and regulations. The key phrase here is open starting points. This isn't just Google building a closed medical AI product. Instead, they're giving hospitals, startups, and researchers a base model they can fine-tune for specific imaging tasks, local languages, or compliance requirements. This sits right at the intersection of two big trends from today's stories. On one side, we have Bandcamp and others restricting AI on ethical or cultural grounds. On the other, we have Google deliberately opening up powerful models in a highly sensitive field, healthcare, but with a strong emphasis on local adaptation and regulation. And it connects directly to our final story about AI-designed antibodies. Story number 10. AI-designed antibodies are racing toward clinical trials. This news comes from Hacker News, pointing to Singularity Hub, and was posted on Hacker News on January 14th, 2026. Singularity Hub reports that AI-designed antibodies, basically therapeutic molecules created with the help of AI models, are moving rapidly toward real clinical trials in humans. AI is being used to explore massive protein design spaces, generate candidate antibodies, and predict how they'll bind to targets in the body. This can dramatically speed up the drug discovery process, reduce costs, and potentially uncover treatments that human researchers might never think to try. The article describes a landscape where multiple biotech startups and research labs are using generative AI models, structure prediction systems, and reinforcement learning to design new antibodies. Some of these candidates are now approaching or entering the formal clinical trial pipeline. When you combine this with Google's MedGemma 1.5, which targets medical imaging, text, and speech, you start to see a full-stack AI healthcare ecosystem emerging, models for diagnosis, models for triage, models for clinical workflow, and now models that directly help design the drugs themselves. This is one of the clearest examples where AI isn't just cool tech. It could directly translate into new medicines and saved lives, but it also raises very serious questions about safety, validation, and regulation. Who gets access to these models? How do we ensure they don't generate harmful or unsafe biological designs, which connects right back to that broader theme of national security and control we saw in the NVIDIA and Wired stories? Bringing it all together. Across these 10 stories, a few big themes emerge. First, control and governance. From the US partially reopening exports of NVIDIA's H200 chips to China with strict limits, to Wired's coverage of AI companies getting pulled into military projects, to Bandcamp banning AI, music, and UK police dealing with Copilot hallucinations. Governments, companies, and platforms are all scrambling to draw lines around what AI can and can't do. Second, AI is becoming infrastructure. In Hong Kong schools, over 90% of teachers and students are already using AI tools. In Slack, the new AI-powered Slackbot aims to be a core work assistant. Tesla's FSD is shifting to a subscription model, treating driving software like a cloud service. AI is no longer an optional add-on, it's built into education, work, and mobility. Third, open foundations versus closed control. Google's Kaggle Community Benchmarks invite everyone to help define how we measure AI. MedGemma 1.5 offers open medical models for developers. Meanwhile, Bandcamp draws a hard line against AI-generated music. And export controls try to limit who gets access to powerful chips. We are watching a global tug-of-war between openness and restriction. And fourth, AI in high-stakes domains. UK policing, healthcare imaging, and AI-designed antibodies all show that AI is moving deeper into areas where mistakes really matter: public safety, diagnosis, and medicine development. That's where evaluation, transparency, and robust oversight become critical. If you want to dive deeper into any of these stories, check out the original sources: unwired.hk for the NVIDIA H200 export decision and the Hong Kong Schools AI survey. The Google AI blog for the Kaggle Community Benchmarks announcement. Wired's artificial intelligence section for the book excerpt, Silicon Empires. The Verge for the Tesla FSD subscription shift and the UK Police Copilot incident. Engadget for Bandcamp's new AI music policy. Slack's official blog via the Hacker News link for details on the new Slackbot AI agent. MarkTech post for Google's MedGemma 1.5 medical AI release, and Singularity Hub, also via Hacker News, for the deep dive on AI-designed antibodies heading toward clinical trials. If you found this roundup helpful, let me know which story you want a full deep dive on next. AI in medicine, AI in schools, or AI in policing. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next breakdown of the most important AI news shaping the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.